Bonjour, everyone. I know I owe you all much eruditeness in this sort of banal season. Here we are at the old IBM building in front of that place that got so bulldozed. And yes, it looks as if someone just dematerialized. Is that a good Star Trek term? From here. Almost as if there was a time machine. When I watch crime shows, people call things like this in, but it's what we see all the time. You know, did they just disappear? Or was there a quick change? Why is the underwear so wet? What's going on? Does it tell a story? The other day I had another experience like this. And when we got past the clothes, the next block down, there were empty alcohol bottles. You know, it's funny, the other day, like a documentary showed up on my feed of Greenwich Village, and I thought, oh, that sounds delightful. And it started off with, you know, pictures of Bob Dylan and Miles Davis and, you know, all these sort of fun clubs that started. And even before that, it talked about why the streets in Greenwich Village are so wiggly, that they're based on deer paths and Native American trails. And like the first sort of riot there was that they didn't want to go on the grid. They wanted to keep it like that. So that's why Greenwich Village was so fun and wiggly. And it had these people in these fabulous studios with lots of light. I guess that apartments were built there with bigger windows for artists, and so people really treasured that there as well. And there were no tall buildings, just a lot of these little buildings letting in lots of light. And I didn't realize Mark Twain had loved it there so much. And so it was very just like, oh my gosh, when it started to talk about New York University had owned a lot of these precious old buildings, just many of them, and no one sort of realized it consciously, and now they've pounced, and all of these just glorious, sweet little places that make Greenwich Village what is Greenwich Village are now just being razed to the ground, like this place here that was completely idyllic and ideal. And I did film it before everything kind of came up. And there's Olympia Community Management. Oh, that's the planning people. I called them about this, and they really treated me like I was a stupid nut. So it was good to have the Greenwich Village documentary appear, because it was talking about what makes a place a place. And it certainly isn't that. And that place was, it had the apartments, it had two sets of apartments, one mid-century, one old, like farmhouse old, with adorable little steps, you know, going up to places with gardenias and things like that. This place is looking a little sad. You know, it's looking, remember before it had the sweet chickens, and I think people are fleeing. We still have that sweet little magical path here. There's, you know, but there's like a sadness. Wow, the yucca's gotten big. There's a sadness. Imagine, you know, because before it was so fun to look across the street. You had this really dear, the first press in Olympia was over there. There was a lot. It was a half block of, let me see, there was an old, beautiful home. And it's weird because I saw a home just like it for sale in the old, neighborhood by the Capitol. And it had all kinds of stuff it was talking about. Look at this beautiful historic house. And yet when I called about this place being historic, I was mocked. I was mocked. This guy was basically like, oh, when the little people call, isn't it amusing what they say? Oh, I'd never thought of that. He said that. Oh, he said he didn't even know where I was talking about. And this was what he signed off on. And he said, oh, yeah, no, I've never walked by it before, no. And yeah, they didn't need to do that. It was one of the few blocks left of true beauty, because as you see, it's garbage there, it's garbage there, it's garbage here, and they tore down a bunch of nice houses and put up a parking garage for the WSECU, a beautiful liberal term, which stands for the credit union. We're on Union Street. I guess because we're on Union Street, unions want to take it over. And I guess this is our last standing. But what does it have to look at? Before it looked out on just and the places were so loved and well cared for. You could tell the people who lived in them had been there forever. And I'll try to go back and find some of the footage that I took, because there were little trails going through behind the house that had become like a skin spa, and a little alley that went up and was so precious. So of course, it's always Halloween in Olympia, remember that, never forget. And so I don't know, there's just now it's like I have the right to grieve. These planning people are not the end all be all. I did tell him, thank God you don't live in Egypt, or, you would have taken the pyramids down to put up a Costco. Seriously, what on earth would they be doing to anywhere else? And what's really creepy is they all go to Paris, right? They're all overpaid planning commission. It should just be called the Demolish Commission, right? There's something about the hijacking of language that's been driving me mad. I tried to get records from Evergreen for what I went through there, and I got this curt letter back saying, oh, all records are destroyed after 3 years. I was mortified. How is that a record, right? We have records from prehistoric days on the walls of caves. Isn't the word records, doesn't that mean the preservation of data? Isn't that what records means? So there's something about just the utter and obscene hijacking of language, that the records are only kept 3 years. Well, then they're no longer records. Then that's something else. Then that's a different word. Then it should be called, I don't know, whatever criminal term it is that needs to be called. And so yes, there's a lot of this going on. I wonder about the displacement of birds as well. There were a huge amount of very old trees that had lined, is that the planning guy? Does he just look at his phone all the time? And never, it was just a weird phone call. I wish we were allowed to record them, but we're not, because they like to, they have laws to protect themselves from all of their, what would they call it, indiscretions, their crimes. I'm so sorry, everyone. We're just kind of walking in circles now. He wants to go downtown, but I think I'm going to pull him up. I'm sorry, usually he's the boss man. But yeah, this place you see the kind of sorrow. And it used to be like really, yeah, what do we do? We're being attacked by the Lego reptiles, and they're doing it all over. And they're wrecking all the places that are beautiful and cool here in our blue, supposedly hip sanctuary cities. And there was no hipper, cooler block than this. Peace out, everyone. My goodness. Barbarians at the gate indeed.